The Subaru Forester is all new for 2025.
Here's how much the Subaru Forester cost.
The interior is super interesting. There's a variety of texture, color, materials. I don't know if it comes together in a real cohesive fashion, but it's definitely lively to look at.
This geometric pattern over here in front of you I think is interesting and kind of recalls some of the elements from the outside. And in our sport trim, I like some of the earth tones and there's the stitching and everything.
It's also super practical. A soft pocket in all four doors, as well as a really usably sized bottle holder, a reasonably sized center console, as well as this little storage nook
adjacent to the cup holders. And this area gives me a little bit of concern because I don't know how long this has been in the press fleet, about 5,000 miles. That's rough with journalist miles, but there's a fair bit of scratching in the material here, this kind of matte plastic, and that's immediately adjacent to more shiny black plastic over here and then over here, which are touch zones, which means fingerprints and dust collection. Up front here, we've got a phone zone, which is simple, but it's got a couple ports adjacent to it, and really interestingly, it's got an auxiliary in. Subaru has a knack for holding on to technology that I think is completely irrelevant, and yet inevitably when I mention this, somebody in the comments is going to be like, I use an aux in all the time
for my iPod Shuffle.
Everything just sounds warmer when it's played on a shuffle. Moving to the seats, are you comfortable?
I am. They're a little bit on the firm side, but I do appreciate the lower bolstering as well as the side bolstering.
And I'm finding reasonable lateral support here in the shoulders without being constrictive. Seated behind my ideal front seat position, I'm very impressed with the amount of space. A lot of knee room, head room, foot clearance underneath the front seat is excellent. And even in that middle position, I fit well. What about you, kiddo? Do you fit in that middle spot?
My feet can't touch the hump, but I wouldn't mind if it was a little bit higher.
Yeah, for me, I don't mind having a fairly low hump, but I'm not the guy who's going to be sitting there, so my opinion doesn't matter. When in the second row, we do have a recline function, although that is not found on the base trim. In fact, though, I do like that we have rear vents for our child. Oh, and one more child question. How is it climbing in and out of this thing?
Easy enough.
For cargo space, the base version gets 29.6 cubic feet. The version we have and all others is 27.5. I'm not sure to what we owe the disparity in cargo space, but there's plenty of cargo space back there.
I like that there is underfloor storage and that it can hold the cargo cover when not in use.
Oh, and underneath that underfloor cargo area, we have a standard spare tire. I love having an extra tire. You slash one of those things and man, it's great having a spare. The cargo area also has a couple of hooks on the side and a little tie down points, and I was able to flip the seats from the cargo area.
I had to come around, but I'm on the short side.
But yeah, for the cargo area, there's a lot of little features in that 60-40 split that make it a very functional space. Functional like Flying Eyes Eyewear, whose patented Resilomite construction makes them flexible, lightweight, and extremely comfortable under a headset or a helmet or just in your daily life. Look, she's doing it right now, wearing it in her daily life. Bendy, bendy.
It's a heart.
Aww.
They're made for pilots, but you can wear them too.
There's a link in the description below where you can save 10% on Flying Eyes. I thought you might say it with me, but we didn't. 3, 2, 1. Flying Eyes. And how's the latch sitch?
There are 5 lower anchors, so you can install a child seat in either the 2 outboard positions or in the middle position. It looks like there would be a generous amount of room for a rear-facing car seat as well.
I also noticed that the rear doors open pretty darn wide, so installing that car seat should be a breeze. As for safety, the NHTSA hasn't fully rated the 6th generation Forester yet, though it did get a 5-star rating for front impact. The IAHS hasn't weighed in yet with crash test data, but we do know it has a full suite of active driver assist technology plus 8 airbags. Family, what do we think? Is the Subaru Forester family friendly?
Yay! Family friendly.
Rear window test. That is not all the way down at all, but you still get a high five. Congrats. Whee. Armrest test, driving in a comfortable 8 and 4, little bit of a reach to get to the inboard and outboard, and I kind of thought this inboard would slide forward or something for easier access. It really feels like it should move, but it doesn't. That said, there is a reasonable squish factor, but the material's pretty grippy, and that might get annoying over the long haul. I'm gonna go 60% inboard, 65% outboard. Let's move onward to style. For 2025, the Subaru Forester has gone very mainstream. It was traditionally like kind of a wagon thing with like a roof lift, and it always looked kind of odd, but like I think odd in kind of a distinct, charming way.
I liked how squared off it was.
For this one, it just kind of looks like a compact SUV. But that doesn't mean there's a lack of visual interest. When I look on the outside, there's like a lot of geometry happening.
Yes, those exterior panels that match this interior panel are super interesting.
Roof rails come standard across the board, dashboard, a moonroof, this kind of big thing here, comes on all trims except for the absolute base trim. Our particular tester has the sapphire blue pearl paint, it's a no charge choice. And then because we're driving the sport trim, it has 19-inch wheels with bronze exterior elements. And if you're wondering, hey, doesn't Micah's style look exactly like the car? Almost like the car became a person? Yes, I do, and that is intentional. There was a cartoon in the 80s where a kid turned into like a sports car. It's kind of like that, but like way less cool. I would say the Subaru Forester, to my eyes, is not necessarily handsome, but it does look like a Subaru. But what do you think? Do you like it? Do you dislike it? Tell us in the comments. Quickly before we move on, thank you. Thank you for supporting our channel. Like, subscribe, whatever you do to be kind to us, we appreciate your kindness. Moving onward to In Motion. As mentioned in the previous segment, we're driving the sports trim, and it does have a slightly retuned suspension that's meant to be a little more sporty. Even so, I do not find it abusive. I think it's a reasonable ride quality for commuting purposes. Subaru's also worked hard to make it a little bit quieter in here. There's more sound deadening and extra adhesives and that kind of stuff. Sport trim or not, I don't find this overtly sporty, but there are a few technologies working in our favor here. They've got active torque vectoring, which sounds deeply technological, but really they just break the inside front wheel when you're turning, and that helps improve turn-in, give a little bit more eagerness when you're steering. It's using the brakes. We also have a dual pinion electronic steering rack that is interpreted from the WRX. It's like a version of that. The suggestion, I think, is like real eagerness with steering. I find it kind of like a little loose on center, but you know, it steers fine for what it is you're trying to do. Hey, look, an old Forester. The Forester steers and rides competently. Where things might get controversial is powertrain. So we've got a 2.5 liter horizontally opposed engine paired with a continuously variable transmission. And man, those things have a bad rap for a lot of car buyers. You think of like droning engine sound and that kind of stuff, rubbery powertrain feel. This doesn't do that. Here, floored. You get the ratio change quickly, and then it does a little bit of gear emulation here. Kind of almost sounds a little bit like a traditional powertrain, but you have the efficiency advantages of a CVT. And even coming up our long hills, I didn't find it to do that kind of like needlessly racing thing. One other behavior that sometimes CVTs annoy me with is off-the-line acceleration, like it takes a beat for the revs to come up. And I find this thing pulls pretty strongly off the line. For drivers who like to be really involved in the driving experience, we have a couple of paddle shifters here. They come on the sport trim and up, and they go to preset ratios. There are 8 of them. It's kind of like an 8-speed automatic transmission. Look, I'm using it, and now I'm in theoretical first gear. Now I'm in theoretical second gear. Fun. We also have the SI drive selector. It's kind of like sport and intelligent, I believe is what that stands for. So if you're an intelligent, it's just kind of a mellower powertrain feel. And if you go to sport, it's a little bit more immediate. Higher ratio, prompt, yeah, kind of sporty. Going to the other end of the spectrum, we have X mode, which comes on every trim but the base trim. I keep saying that a lot in this video. There's normal, but then if you want to go a little bit dirty, well, that sounded weird. You got dirt and snow, and then you have deep snow and mud. X mode optimizes powertrain behavior as well as the all-wheel drive system, and also how it mitigates tire slip to enhance traction while driving off-road. Speaking of off-road, the Forester isn't meant for like rock crawling at all, though that doesn't mean some people aren't going to use it for that. And that is a double negative, but I'm going to keep moving forward. What this is made for is, I think, dirt trails or like going through snow and that kind of stuff. But what I do like is that we've got 8.7 inches of ground clearance, which is better than a lot of like proper SUVs. Earlier I did the pine cone test. I'm like, oh, there's a pine cone in the room. We got some big pine cones around here. Blasted right over it, no problem. I'll also mention while commuting, I use the adaptive cruise control system, and it has a steering assist feature, and it does a reasonable job of keeping itself in its lane and keeping itself from other vehicles. One interesting thing is that there's an automatic emergency stop feature. So if you're using adaptive cruise control and the vehicle detects that you are incapacitated, it can bring the vehicle to a complete stop, turn on the flashers, and unlock the doors. So for everybody who does not like being incapacitated behind the wheel, hooray! The only thing I would add is that it would be cool if it did that when you don't have adaptive cruise control active. All right, that's what I think about driving the Subaru Forester, but what does Sweetie think? Evie's at the wheel. We're gonna do a little bit of a test here because we're going uphill. Floor it and let me know if you've got enough acceleration.
Ooh, Definitely took a second for the power to come in.
Okay, that was a little unfair. We're gonna try it again when we're on level ground just to see how we feel. While we're making our way around though, talk about visibility.
Visibility is good all around except for the places where the sun is shooting into my eyes.
Yeah.
But that's not the Forester's fault.
One of the things I was really concerned about when they went more traditional SUV is that like it might lose some of that inside of an aquarium vibe that the old one had. It was such excellent visibility. It does retain a lot of that. I always talk about how when you get into a newer car, you can really tell it's a new car because you got thick pillars. We don't have that here. These are shockingly thin pillars for a brand new 6th generation 2025 model year vehicle.
You are right.
What about going around corners? Does it feel like predictable?
There's a reassuring quality to cornering in this. I feel very planted.
Like you can confidently drive all the way to the crash.
I just hope I don't crash into that boy who turned into a car.
By size, does this feel manageable?
Absolutely. Plenty of room for a family, but this is the size of vehicle I prefer to drive.
This seems like a good spot. Go ahead and stop here. And then when you're ready, just floor it and we'll see how it feels from a stop. Whee! Would you feel comfortable getting out ahead of traffic with that level of power off the line?
That was a reasonable amount of power for getting out ahead of traffic, but this is the rare vehicle where I actually wouldn't mind a little more power.
On that shocking revelation, I'm getting back to the driver's seat. Let's move forward to remarks. Infotainment, the standard system is a dual 7-inch setup. All other trims get this 11.6-inch screen. With the base setup, you get Apple CarPlay and Android Auto as a wired solution, and then when you go up to the larger screen, you have a wireless version.
I think this is a really nice balance between having it look sleek and controls integrated into the screen, but also having the controls you'd want to use as physical buttons.
Yeah, we got tune and volume.
As well as temperature adjustment.
Micah cold, make hotter, hot, hot, hot.
I like that the icons are large and color-coded. It makes it easy to operate out of the corner of my eye when I'm driving. I like using the infotainment.
And now let's take a look under the hood in a test inspired by my buddy Brian. Here's how you open the hood on your Subaru Forester. That's where you can check the oil level. Here's where you add the oil, and that is your washer fluid reservoir. And if you're curious what the horn sounds like, aw, isn't that cute? All right, let's talk engine choices. The only engine offered is a 2.5-liter horizontally opposed 4-cylinder paired with a continuously variable transmission. Here's standard fuel economy, though it goes down one number in city and highway in some of the higher trims. All-wheel drive comes standard, 87 octane is fine, and if you want to tow, it maxes out at 1,500 pounds.
Sweetie, will you share our trim recommendation?
Indeed, I will. Our trim recommendation is which trim will give you the essential features you'd regret not getting in your Subaru Forester, but at the lowest possible price. We're going to recommend spending an extra $2,300 over the base trim for the premium trim because it adds a moonroof, X mode, hill descent control for off-roading and such, heated front seats, a power driver's seat, reclining rear seats because you missed those if you go with the base trim, plus a fold-down center armrest for the rear occupants, that 11.6-inch infotainment system, and smart key access. We would miss a lot of those features if we stuck with the base trim. If you're ready to buy a Subaru Forester of your very own, click the Kelley Blue Book pricing link in the description below to learn what your current car is worth or what you should spend on a Subaru Forester. As for competitors, we got compact SUV icons like the Honda CR-V, Toyota RAV4, plus the Kia Sportage, and the Mazda CX-50. Did we miss any remarks? If so, tell us in the comment section. And now it is our daughter's time to shine. Child, can you tell us what is your favorite feature in the Subaru Forester?
The little bird that's on the windows. It's really cute.
It is really cute, and you know what? The more you look around, the more you see them. It's like they're back there, but there's also one up here in the moonroof.
And there's one on the windshield somewhere.
Oh yeah, right up there. I'll bet there's a really good heritage-based reason why these birds are here. I don't want to know what that is. I just want there to be some esoteric birds thrown around the car. Family, I think we've done a good job reviewing the Subaru Forester. May I have a 5? And a 5. That was a good 5. And you, come get your high five. Bam! And now, here is your Subaru Forester AI-generated synopsis song.
Cruising smooth, never gone too far. Classic feeling.